Table 3 shows foreign travelers arriving in South Africa by region and mode of transport for April to June 2020. Okay, so we have tables given to us, and on the table we have the different areas which the people come from, and we have A, road, and C. Okay, so now that we know the mode of transport and the areas, so let's look at the question 3.1.1. Write down the total number of overseas travelers arriving in South Africa during April to June 2020. Okay, so if you look at the table, you'll see that there is a heading called overseas there, and they want the total, so that would be that amount there, which is 1371. 3.1.2 show by means of calculation how the amount of 141663 was calculated. So let's look at our table here. We have the amount 141663 right over here, but if you look at it compared to the rest on that column, the rest are light in color, but there are few that are bold, which is the overseas and Africa and the unspecified. Okay, so those three amounts there, and if we add them up, we'll see we arrive at 141663. Okay, 13171 plus 140238 and plus the 54 as indicated, and our amount should be 141663. Now remember, when they say show how a certain amount has been calculated, that means your final answer would be that answer. So in this case, they're asking us to show how 141663 was calculated, so we arrive at that amount. Okay, calculate the missing value A. So let's look at the table. A would be right over here. Okay, if you look at A and you look at on that column, and you look at that column, this set here, including the A, is basically light in color, which would mean that these all indicate the overseas travel. If you look at all these places here, they are overseas, so those things are added up to give us the 619 right at the top, right? And remember, A is indicative of Asia, right? There's it over there. So all that areas there are overseas. So what we're going to do is we can either add those amounts up, and we can subtract it from 619 and we'll get our A value, or we can just continue subtracting those amounts and we'll arrive at the final answer, which is A. So let's write our answer. We got 619. We'll minus the first one there. You can see in that row is, or column should I say. Okay, let me indicate to you which numbers we are subtracting. We will be subtracting this number, this number, this number, this number, and the one there below that. Okay, so let's do this. 619 minus 299 plus 38 plus 12 plus 33 and plus the 1, and the final answer for A would be 236. Explain unspecified as used in this context. Okay, so they don't want the general meaning of unspecified. They have to use the scenario they've given you. So unspecified is this part here, and if you find out that it's all listed within this part, which is showing a region in which it came from, so that means these travelers came from this particular area. So the unspecified would mean that the travelers did not write their place of origin. That means the place where they came from. The incomplete graph showing the data for travelers coming from 3 overseas countries, namely North America, Australasia, and the unspecified is drawn on a grid in the answer sheet 1. Use table 3 above to complete the graph of the 3 overseas countries on the same grid in answer sheet 1. Okay, so on the right hand side I have answer sheet 1, and if you look at answer sheet 1, right at the bottom we have North America, and then we have Australasia, and lastly we have the unspecified. So if you look at each of this, we have a total that's written at the bottom here. Okay, we have the air, we have the road, and we have the sea. So let's look at, for example, let's look at North America. So North America would be right here. Okay, this one here. So if you look at the first one, it's total, and we have an amount of 82. So let's look at it. 82 is indicated here. Next to that we have the North America as well. 21 would be the air. Not next to that, sorry, on the next set, this is the 21. So there's it indicated there. Okay, so we can actually just draw that nicely. Okay, I see there's no line over that, so that would be the 21. This is just above the 20 line. Okay, then we, on the same North America, look at the next one, we have the road. So let's look under road. So we've got the air. Now let's look at the road. Now if you look at the road amount is 38. So let's go under road. The first one there, it's around 38, which is correct. There's it there, just below the 40 line. And lastly we have the sea, which is 3, and if you come right here, you'll see that it's about 3 right at the bottom here. So that part is sorted out, and then let's go to the next one. The next one would be the Australasia. So let's look at Australasia. Okay, Australasia is this part right over here. So the first one, the total would be 45. So let's look at the 45. There's nothing drawn at the total, so let's draw that in. So we need to draw that in. All right, let's just draw that in. Okay, 1 second. Okay, more or less there. It's more or less, I'm not using a ruler, so you have the idea what I'm doing. So that's more or less there. Then if you look at the next one, under A we have, it's 9. There's just below the 10 line, there's our 9 there. And the next one is the road, there, and the road amount would be 33. So let's look at this. Just above the 30 line, there's our 33 there. And lastly on that we have a 3. So let's go there, and you can see it's there. That's representing the Australasia. So lastly we have the unspecified. So let's look at the unspecified. Okay, unspecified would be here. The first one, you can see the total there is 54. So it's drawn on the table. Right, so there's it there. The second one, if you look at it, is the air, and the air amount would be 35. So let's see if it's there. There's our 35 right over here. Then the third one is the road, and you see there's an amount of 19. So you come to the road one, and you see that we need to actually draw this 19 there. So let's look for the 20 line, and just below the 20 line we'll just draw that 19 there. Right, let's just draw that through there. Okay, more or less. And then if we come to the C, we'll see the 0 there, so we don't have to actually draw anything on that part there, and our table is basically complete.